What are some harmless ways to screw with people? Carefully step over a non-existing obstacle. Do this at a crosswalk when the cars stop too close. Fantastic. Say no pun intended after a sentence when there was clearly no pun. This meatloaf is amazing, Sharon. No pun intended. When you shake someone's hand, move yours from left to right. As they do the traditional up and down, a hilarious circle ensues. I can't believe I've never thought of this. Totally left-right handshaking from now on. I like to dip my thumb when people come in for the handshake so that we end up clasping wrists like Vikings. I put a tiny piece of masking tape over my coworker's mouse laser on April Fool's Day one year and wrote April Fools on it. He troubleshot every single thing except examining the mouse. He even eventually called IT, who simply turned the mouse over and pointed it out to him. Plug in a second mouse and leave it under their desk so that you can reach it with your foot. Kick it occasionally. I plugged in a wireless mouse into one of my college professor's computers and moved the mouse around every time he wasn't looking at the screen. Did this for a few days and always took back the USB at the end of class without him noticing. Finally, when doing my final presentation, he realized what was happening when I took my own mouse up with me to click through the slides. Don't turn around when you walk into a lift. Conversely, turn around too much. Just stand in the corner and rotate 90 degrees every 4 or 5 seconds or so. When having a conversation during a meal, specifically only ask questions to people that are chewing. Love this one. It's on the verge of being rude, but it's so subtle people will assume you just lack awareness. Whenever I visited my extended family across the country, I bring a bag full of random remotes that I don't use anymore. Just random remotes that go to old DVRs or anything. Really, just hide them around their house. They only recently caught on. OP said harmless. That's the devil's work. If I know someone is walking a little ways behind me and I turn a corner with nobody else around, I like to run 10 to 20 steps to widen the gap and then laugh to myself, thinking that the person behind me will be confused. I doubt anyone ever notices, but I get a kick out of it every time. I know someone who always takes an item to a party and leaves it somewhere in the house, i.e. a trinket. After giving a compliment, say, "No offense," and watch them struggle to find the non-existent insult. I love this idea, no offense. Your comment is hilarious, no offense. When driving, I like to wave at random people as if I knew them. Hilarious to see instant confusion on their faces. I used to wave at random cars if I liked the car. I passed this really nice old Chevy every day on the way to and from work. We now wave to each other every time. My friend was logged into his Twitter on my tablet, so I kept changing his profile picture to a banana. He thought someone hacked him and tweeted about it. I replied to the tweet using his profile. It got so bad he was arguing with himself on Twitter. Say high five to someone, but don't put your hand up. Now that's just evil. When you're talking to someone, just keep handing them random items. They'll just keep taking them without realizing it. I once handed someone an ice cube while passing them in the hall at work. When I was a corrections officer, we had a guy who worked with us who was kind of rude to everyone, and he was computer illiterate. We took a screenshot of his desktop and moved all of his icons off of it so it looked legit, but nothing worked. It took him over an hour before he finally called IT, and they figured it out pretty quickly. He wouldn't talk to any of us for about a week. Better still is to Photoshop one icon into the desktop wallpaper and then remove this one icon. Everything works except for that one shortcut. Oh no. Take it to the next level. Screenshot desktop, flip the photo upside down in Paint, hide all icons. Set the screenshot as the wallpaper. Flip the entire display 180 degrees in the display settings. Not only is nothing working, but the mouse is moving totally opposite of your inputs. Oh man, do I have a story. In my freshman year of college, my roommate was a very neat and orderly person. He had every pencil in place. Every paper had a folder, and his things got neatly packed away. We were pretty amicable towards one another, even with my messy living. At first, when he would leave for classes, I would admire how tidy his desk was and thought to myself, I should mess with that. For the whole year we lived together, I would sneak used staples everywhere on his stuff. Homework folder, staple. Pencil case, staple. Backpack, staple. Shower caddy? You bet that bar of soap got a staple on it. Hell, even the TV remote got a staple in between the batteries, so when they died, he would eventually find another. I did it often but was careful to space the staples events far enough apart not to raise suspicion about myself. I further protected myself by making a huge deal of having to borrow the across-the-hall neighbor's stapler whenever I needed to bind papers together. About March of our second semester, he had become insanely suspicious of anybody with a stapler and watched them like a hawk. The straw that broke the camel's back, I had asked him one night what his plans were under the guise of having a companion over for a visit. He said after dinner, he had to go check out some obscure book at the library. When he left and headed into the dining hall, I snuck off to the library, found the obscure book he needed, and clicked the staple into it. He gets back into the dorm room and I'm doing homework in the same spot when he had left an hour earlier, claiming the meetup didn't end up happening. He sits down at his desk and opens up his newly rented book and tick, I hear that staple fall onto his desk. All I hear after that is, "Yo, where the hell are these staples coming from?" I revealed myself after graduation when I mailed him a birthday card with a used staple in it. Thankfully, he got the biggest kick out of the card and we still talk daily. This made me cackle. My grandpa does this thing where he stops in the busy street and starts staring into the sky as if he has seen something amazing. It doesn't take long for other people to stop and stare too. Once he reaches critical mass, he quickly slips away chuckling to himself. I saw someone on Facebook comment on a picture that the three of you look great. There were 4 people in the picture. Every year on National Sibling Day, I post about my 2 great siblings. I have 3 siblings. Every year on National Daughters Day, my friend posts a picture of his 4 kids with the sun aggressively scribbled out in black. When National Sons Day rolls around, he posts the same original pic but with all of the girls scribbled out. Every other week or so, I'd change which side my coworker's drill belt clip was on. 2 screws and 30 seconds for a maddening payout. I don't know if he ever caught on, as he sadly passed away last year. I got a huge kick out of doing it though. Might bring that one back as most of us share the same brand of drill. He got a great one on me. Every day or two he'd hide a Magic the Gathering card in my toolbox, never in the same spot twice. Genuinely made me mad when I'd pick something up only to see another card hidden underneath. Eventually, I had enough cards to completely cover his locker door inner and outer. He never took them off. Even cut out the cards to fit the vents on the locker. I spent a good hour or 2 on my day off making it. Proud of that one. RIP Chris, pranks haven't been the same since you left. Your locker still remains covered in magic cards and nobody has questioned it to this day. That is so incredibly sweet. I'm glad you have such a great reminder of your friendship. Buy a set of voice-activated or motion-activated stickers from Amazon and the possibilities are endless. I'm so getting these for the toilet at work. The movie theater in my town is usually mostly empty. There's been a couple of times when I've come in to get my seat and there's literally only one other person in the auditorium. There's an evil part of me that wants to just go sit right next to them. Not illegal, but it should be. Do it and start a conversation with a code, like in old spy movies. The red ducks only fly at night. I'm a huge fan of just handing somebody something without any explanation and walking away. Someone at a big camping party once handed us a bottle of rum. Didn't say anything or answer our questions, just handed it over and walked away. He was pretty mad like 2 hours later when he came back for it and we had already drunk it all. LOL. I mean, what else were you supposed to do with it? Someone handing me a bottle of liquor and then leaving seems like a pretty green light to start drinking it. Look at their forehead, ear, or chin during the entire conversation. Call in sick to a place you don't work. At the deli, ask for the most human-tasting meat they have. Go to the grocery store and ask for gomber. You know, it's kind of red and you put it on mayo sandwiches. Ask if they like your perfume and get them to smell your neck, wrist, ankle, or other body parts. Don't actually be wearing any perfume. Tap them on their right shoulder when you're over their left shoulder. Gets them every time, 50% of the time. I still turn the opposite way because of all the times someone in high school did this to me. Keep correcting them on the pronunciation of your name, even when they are saying it correctly every time. It works best if you are standing, but use your judgment. Gradually lower the volume of your voice. Others will match your volume, and they tend to move closer. Wait for your moment, and then just start speaking in a normal or slightly louder than normal voice. My mother and grandmother do this, but the other way around. Every family get-together turns into them casually shouting across the room to each other. This one is harmless, but can occasionally drive someone mad. My mom has a bunch of framed family photos hanging on a wall. One day I was visiting and I took them all down and scanned them with a little hand scanner. I photoshopped small changes on them, removed some people from some photos, added a couple of celebrities in the background, etc. printed them out and replaced them a few days later. I can't forget her face when she realized it was me and she was not losing it. Another goodie is to change one of the pictures with some famous person. My favorite is to swap a picture of my sister with a picture of Kim Jong-un smiling. I swapped the picture of me and my dad's wallet with Idris Elba. He noticed but kept the Elba picture. That was part of a long prank where I hid 12 pictures of Idris Elba around the house and car. They were all numbered, but obviously I omitted 7 and labeled that one 13. My neighbor got an expensive new camera for his front door. Randomly, for the last several months, I have covered myself in a black cloak, including my face, crawled up into camera view and left a random harmless object. A carrot, a spool of thread, 3 ink pens with the caps mixed up, dumb meaningless things. On camera, a dark shape appears and disappears, leaving a random object behind. It's driving him crazy. You should start to make a pattern. Do only red objects or pick a theme like adhesives and stick to it for a month, then change it. I love mispronouncing words mid-sentence only to pronounce them correctly moments later. When they ask what your favorite song or band is, tell them that you don't like music. When they ask why, just say because there are no pictures like movies and TV shows. When at work, tell someone I'm going to the bathroom. Do you need anything? When someone announces that they're going to the bathroom, say, I hope everything comes out okay. One thing I do is when someone asks directions, I say something like, if you take a left out of the parking lot and go down to the light, then turn right, you'll be going in the wrong direction. It's actually, and then give the correct directions. Use landmarks that aren't there anymore or things only locals will know. Turn right where the big oak tree used to be. Take the next road to the left after you pass the Flanders farm. OMG, my wife does home health care and this is how people give directions in the Midwest. Okay, turn left where the Johnson farm used to be before it burned down. Then go straight until you pass that place that used to be the dollar store, but now the Chinese market took it over. And then take another left at that park where the guy got beat up in 1992. GPS is the best thing that ever happened to her. Put up a lost and found poster for your lost fish. Ask a question, and when they are a few words into answering, ask, huh? Something I did in high school. I randomly found half a crayon on the ground. I managed to slip it into the pocket of a guy I knew. A few minutes later, he discovered said crayon and rather loudly said, "What the hell?" and tossed it away. I wandered over, picked it up and snuck it back into his pocket when he wasn't paying attention. A few minutes go by and he finds it again. Even more confused, he throws it again and wanders off. I managed to repeat the situation twice more before I couldn't stop laughing and he noticed me going to pick it up. He was really starting to question his sanity by the end. Other things you can do: fill a gas can with water and punch a hole in the bottom. Then walk down the street smoking a cigar. Fill an inflated date with helium and chase it down the street yelling, "Come back, you tramp!" Fill a large mayonnaise jar with vanilla pudding and sit someplace eating it with a spoon. If you have tile floors, put your Pine Sol or whatever you mop with in a gas can. Make sure you do this with family or friends over. Hide something around their house. My weapon of choice was tiny rubber ducks. Open a drawer, duck. I need a spoon, duck. Lovely picture of their wedding with a nice frame, duck on top. Charging box, duck. Bubble bath, duck. Seldom used shoes, duck. Winter coat pocket they won't use for months, duck. It's ducking delightful how much mileage you can get out of tiny ducks. PSA: be extremely cautious in the case of households containing animals and small children. Both like putting little things in their mouths and other orifices, so it might be best to avoid ducking these individuals and ensuring things are definitely out of their reach. My former boss did this. The bonus was that if you were the first person to the shift to find one, you got a $5 Starbucks card. It made work a little bit more fun. When someone asks for the time, "Excuse me, do you know what time it is?" "Yes." "Yes what?" "Yes, sir." I also like the response of, "You mean now?" I do this every so often because it's kind of a game to me to see how long I can keep it up until the person catches on. I repeat the last word the person says in question form. Example: "Hey, me and Jenny are headed to Jim's Pizza Hut." "Jim's Pizza Hut?" "Yeah, you know, the one on F Street." "F Street? Over there near the harbor with the big carousel?" "Carousel? Yeah, you know, the one you went to with me and Jane." "Jane? My girlfriend." "Girlfriend? Okay, what the hell is wrong with you?" Once they call you out and have caught on, the game ends. I've carried on a conversation for over an hour once doing this. It's really awesome when the person you are doing it to has gone through this a few times with you. My daughter has gotten me a few times herself, and she'll laugh on and off for the day at my expense. Her husband has called me an ass for teaching this to her a few times too. This is especially humorous to me because former international hostage negotiator for the FBI, Chris Voss, teaches this in his book Never Split the Difference, negotiating as if your life depends on it. It's called mirroring, the act of repeating the last few words back to them in order to gain more information without giving any away. Your price is too high. Too high? Yes, we have to work within a specific budget. Specific budget? That's right, we can't move an inch over 50K. I think we can make 50K work. If someone asks for your name, say something like Jack, but only with one P. It's Dave, but without the F. There's no F in Dave. I know, that's what I said. I was talking with a supervisor and I happened to have like 4 hard-boiled eggs in my jacket pocket for lunch. So while talking with stuff, I took out an egg and cracked the shell and ate it. The conversation kept going, so I did it again, but I could see he was growing quizzical. I waited a few more minutes, pulled out another, and ate that too. By then, I could tell he was like, what the hell? The conversation was wrapping up, so I pulled out the last one, and he stopped mid-conversation and asked me, how many eggs do you have? I just shrugged, shelled, and then ate the last egg. I have a secondary remote that my kids don't know about. Sometimes I'll stand out of sight and turn up the volume or hit back when they select something to watch. It's pretty funny. When someone knocks on the public washroom door you are in, respond with, come in. Say never mind when someone interrupts you. It will make them more curious about what you wanted to say. Works really well with my siblings. There's another post in this thread about asking a question, then interrupting with, huh? This is my go-to response to that. They always mysteriously find it in themselves to hear me or are much more polite about asking me to repeat myself. I mess with colleagues during meetings by controlling how they sit. You copy everything they do to start. They lean back, you lean back, etc. Then slowly take the lead. If they are sitting back, sit forwards. I have managed to start many waves of people moving back and forth in meetings. Sometimes, when you do like online quizzes, they'll ask for an email to send the results to. I like to put random people that I know instead. When someone is talking to you, look right over the top of their head. Keep the conversation going, but look right over them. In high school, at track practice, we stole one of our friend's car keys. It was old enough that it didn't have a chip inside. We drove to Home Depot and got a copy made, and returned his keys. Every day at practice, we would move his car to a different parking spot, but in the same lot. I used to hum an off-pitch note in orchestra rehearsals while the violins were getting their tuning note. Mail someone a red golf ball every week for a while, then mail them a green golf ball and stop. Looking anywhere but at them when talking to them. When waiting for the light to turn green, particularly for a left turn, manually use the blinker at a completely erratic rhythm. Call one of those "how's my driving" bumper stickers and then let them know that their driving is wonderful. I've done that. One of my favorite driving stories. A guy I was driving behind in bad traffic was being a super calm traffic buddy. Driving very relaxed, not tailgating, confident but not a pushover. I was behind him directly for a while. Then we got separated, and then I was behind him again and realized I liked following him because he was less herky-jerky to follow in slow-and-go traffic. I was bored, so I called the number. They were very confused. I had to reiterate a bunch of times I was calling to report a good driver. He hadn't done anything amazing, but the company on the pickup seemed like a hard job for mediocre pay, and I figured he could use kindness. A half hour later, we came upon the reason for the traffic. A really awful merge in a construction zone had bad signage and even worse conage and street conditions. The lane-ending sign referred to the wrong lane, so a lot of responsible early mergers were then stuck in a lane that ended abruptly at a cliff. I was one of them. The traffic in the through lane was too fast and flowing for us to get in. Any gaps were filled by folks behind us merging into it while they were still moving. It was too congested for any of us to safely get in, and a good 5 to 7 of us were stopping cold for minutes and stressed because we were constantly trying to time an entry. 1 or 2 in fast cars would risk it and cause dangerous braking, so that didn't seem wise. Then from a ways back, who do we see slowly coming into focus from around the curve? Good driver guy. He was coasting steadily but was slowed way down versus those he was following, and he had left enough of a gap so that we could slide in front of him. This space and speed buffer had single-handedly slowed the pack enough to make the zipper merge start to work behind him so that no one else would get stuck for a while. My wife and I started losing our crap. No freaking way, it's "how's my driving" guy. We had reported him as an excellent driver in a phone call that heavily exaggerated his heroism, and then he went on to actually save the day. Great moment. Mail them a flip-flop or a tortilla. No packaging box, just stamps directly on it and no return address. One of my friends mailed his old roommate a single sock he had accidentally left behind when moving out. It cost him like $8, and I still laugh when thinking about it. My grandpa glued a quarter to his driveway near the sidewalk and sits in his living room and watches people try to pick it up. I didn't know this until I found a quarter in the driveway one time. Put a post-it on the bottom of their computer mouse. Better yet, invert the main click button in the mouse settings. Absolutely hilarious. Walk up to a couple of your coworkers. Say, "I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you," and then walk away. If two neighbors have opposite political signs during an election, swap them. When my husband pours his coffee into his mug and turns around to get the milk out of the refrigerator, I pour his coffee back into the pot or into my mug. I cackle as I run out of the room. When I order coffee and they ask for the name, I say green, like the sky. The time gap between T-Rex and Stegosaurus is almost twice as long as the time gap between T-Rex and today. If something falls to the ground with an audible slam or sound, I let out a short scream as if it hit me. My favorite thing to do at my coffee shop job waits until we have a line. Tell the first few customers to "have a good day" loudly enough for the rest of the line to hear, and then tell exactly one customer, "enjoy your drink" instead. 90% of the time they hit me with a "you too," and I just smile and nod, content in the knowledge that they'll cringe about that for the rest of the day. Save all the white Smarties candy and fill an aspirin bottle. Dump out a handful and start chewing them. Hold a door open when they're just a little bit too far away. Most people will do a funny little waddle run. When using the military phonetic alphabet, I'll use all the right ones except Q, A as in alpha, G as in golf, Q as in cucumber. Cucumber starts with a C. Oh, that's a sea cucumber. I meant a regular one. When having a conversation with someone, just start handing them anything within reach. You have to be subtle, like grab the thing, hold onto it for a little while without acknowledging it, maintain normal eye contact, and then hand it to them while they're talking. I love doing that. The victim usually ends up taking what's offered and holding onto it until they finish their thought, and they're like, "Why did you give this to me?" "I don't know. Why'd you take it?" Move everything over 2 inches. While going up the chairlift at a ski resort, my friend and I would call out to someone under the chairlift, call them a random name and yell, "We'll wait for you at the top." Usually the person would spend time trying to explain to us they weren't who we thought they were. We'd act like we couldn't hear them and insist we'd wait for them at the top. Drive the speed limit. At a pharmacy, pick up a box of condoms and take it to the cashier. When they ring it up, balk at the price and say that you need to replace it with something cheaper. Come back with plastic wrap and tape. Misuse idioms on purpose. "Oh man, this turned out to be a blessing in the skies." I have a twin brother. As kids, one of us would walk up to somebody and say, "Wake up, you're dreaming," and run. The other one, who was waiting at a corner, would come up to the same person and say, "Why haven't you woken up already?" Yes, we were mischievous. If a bird lands by you and there are people around, crouch down towards the bird and ask, "Did you bring my messages?" And then just go back to what you were doing. Connect an electric air horn to your doorbell and nonchalantly mount it so that it's aimed at the person ringing it. Act like you work somewhere that you don't. Say, "I don't want to sound racist, but," and then say something completely positive yet irrelevant. "I don't want to sound racist, but the sun looks lovely on those flowers." How is that racist? I said it wasn't racist. Someone else mentioned this before, but you hide the circular plate that's in their microwave. Senior prank at my high school a few years ago. They let 3 chickens loose, numbered 1, 2, and 4. The school took forever looking for the 3rd chicken. Some guy on Quora had this genius idea. Grab a highlighter and randomly highlight one name on a public list. Attendance, lunch money, extracurricular classes, whatever. You won't get to see it, but some poor fellow will silently lose their mind trying to figure out why their name is highlighted. Social conformity is a really fun and easy one. Plant some people in a waiting room of some kind. Whenever there is a particular stimulus, a noise, a light flicker, or something seemingly irrelevant, do something odd with the plants. Make them all stand at the same time or look in a certain direction in unison. Eventually, the non-participants will bow to peer pressure. Call a stranger and say, "Guess who this is?" I like to change the batteries so that they're in wrong on my partner's television remote. He's got 2 kids, so he still hasn't figured out which one of us is doing it yet. Look at them dead seriously in the eyes and say, I have something we need to talk about, and then you say something that is totally trivial and unimportant. I love using this one. Say, I promise, after saying just about anything. Here's a glass of water. I promise. Thanks for watching until the end. Do you have a harmless prank that you'd like to share with us? Please do so in the comments below. Then be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you know when our next video is available. For more videos like this one, please stop by our channel. Thanks again, and see you next time. I promise.